Good morning, YouTube. So, we're going to go ahead and do my pre-trip for today on my bus 136. Alright, so we got to check the reservoir, make sure there's enough fluid, and we're good there. Check the air filter. Alright, so how's everybody been? I'm sorry it's been so long since I've done a video. We had the teacher walkout earlier in May, and that caused us to not have school for a few days. So this is the last week of school for us. But we have to come back Friday, this Friday, and then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after Memorial Day, the employees have to come back, but there's no school for the students. And that's just because we came back in time to where the students didn't have to make up any days. Some good news is that because of the teacher walkout, that got everybody a raise, including bus drivers, bus monitors, and all that jazz. So yeah. So what's new with everybody? It's been interesting last few weeks. I know I promised you guys a pre-trip video, so here it is. And I can do it more in detail whenever we come back, or when we come back from summer break, I'll do like an in-detail pre-trip. We come back on July 31st is when we come back as drivers. So maybe I'll do it then at that time. So right now what I'm doing is just checking my indicators, making sure they all work. Light switches. I changed the color of the background just because I like the green a little better. I like the green just a little better because it's easier on my eyes in the mornings. So my ambers are working, my amber indicator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, see in mirror. I can see it, but I don't know if you guys can. The amber's flashing in the front. I'm going to come this way, we're going to come to the back. And I already put all my seatbelts up. I personally like them up because they're off the floor and the kids can use them if they want to. See, I can see from here, my hazards are working in the back, my ambers are working in the back. So that's good. And one thing I want to do while I'm back here is I'm going to go ahead and test my alarm. It works. Alrighty. I'm also checking the backs of the seats, making sure. See, there's a cut here, but I've already written that up. Hopefully they'll get that fixed today between routes. They're usually really good at getting things fixed like that. Alright. That beep beep is activating the child checkmate system. And I've showed you guys that before. I'm going to come out here now, checking all my lights, check my tire pressure. Here's a tire thumper. Next year we're going to be going to tire pressure gauges. At least that's what the plan is right now. Alright. I'm also checking my frame, making sure there's no cracks, dents, or any missing nuts or bolts. My leaf springs, my exhaust system. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see it. My air brake chamber on the other side is there, and I can see the end of my air brake chamber on this side. Alright. Make sure there's no missing nuts, bolts, or cotter pins. Check my fuel cap, make sure it hasn't been messed with. Good. Going underneath the bus, making sure there's no leaking fuel or anything. All my reflectors, lights. Okay, my lights are working. This is where I check the operation of the emergency exit. Alright, and latches. Alright, basically I just do the same thing on this side too. Checking everything. Thump. Leaf spring. Mounts, brackets, all that jazz. The only real major difference on this side is, it's not required, but I like to check my battery box, make sure I don't see any corrosion or anything like that. And also the steering box, you can check on this side too. Alright, my stop sign. Working on both sides. Check my fuse box. Good. Checking my lights in the front here. Alright, so that's the external inspection. Now I gotta check my air brake system. Because I'm recording, that'll actually make it a little easier. But I like to just... Alright, I gotta check my horn. There we go. A little picky sometimes. Washer fluid works. So here in Arizona, we like to get a lot of dust storms, and if we can avoid it, we do avoid it. Alright. Alright, and time to shut it down. Checking on my idiot lights, making sure they're all working. As you see, I've got a full tank of gas, a full tank of fuel. What I'm doing right now is I'm just watching the gauges and watching my time, making sure that within a minute, the air pressure does not drop more than 2 psi in a minute. And that's for a combination, or that's for a single vehicle. For a combination, it would be 3 psi. And also what I'm doing is I'm checking my mileage, making sure that it's what I left it at yesterday. Anything else that would be a warning sign. As you guys see, my volts are going down. They just replaced my batteries on my bus, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. Alright, and it's been a minute now, so I'm going to apply the pressure. So you want to apply a good steady pressure, and once the final drop happens, you then count for a minute. It should not drop more than 3 psi. And that's pounds per square inch, if anybody doesn't know that. We're about 30 seconds in now, and I'm not seeing any movement, so that's a good thing. Alright, so this next part, which you'll see, is I'm going to fan off the rest of the air. I'm going to check whenever the warning light comes on, and then also when the brake pops out. So here we go. Alright, so I came on before 60 psi, as you see. And that's actually perfect. It's supposed to go on anywhere between 75 and 60 psi. And we're at 30. Alright, so we're at about, I'd say 20 to 25 PSI, which that's okay. And my brake popped. So we're good. Alright, so now I'm going to start it back up. I'm going to put the high idle on. So what that does is it revs up the engine to get the air pressure built back up. So what we do at this point is we're counting to see how long it takes the PSI to go from 90 or 85 to 110. It should take no longer than 30 seconds, and we're already at 90. And that's about 110 right there. So it's pretty quick whenever it goes up. So we just have one last test to do, so I'm going to turn the high idle off. I'm going to throw it in drive. So this is the brake adjustment test. What this does, I'm going to wait till this person finishes walking past. You go up to, for the district it says to go up to 1400 and release, and there should be no movement. State standards says just apply slight acceleration. But yeah, that's about it. And there's one more brake test which we do while the bus is moving. Which I'm not going to do with you guys, but it's a service brake, or not service brake, yeah, service brake check, which we go about 5 miles an hour and then we hit the brakes and the bus should stop, and it shouldn't have any pulling. Alright guys, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next time.